That's right. So we want you to all tonight channel your inner 10-year-old and your inner fourth grader, because this is a program that was designed for fourth graders. We're going to probably at some point expand it to include more grades. But the point of this performance tonight is, for one thing, blues music is officially 100 years old. Now, it was actually a lot older than that, but you know, when something becomes 100 years old, we kind of think of it as being historic. And so blues music is officially historic music now. It's a part of American history. It's a part of our American story. And yes, thank you, it's true. And so this program is designed to bring this kind of music to young people who would otherwise not be exposed to it. Blues pre-Chicago, and by pre-Chicago blues, I mean the acoustic blues that originated in the South, in Mississippi, in the Mississippi Delta. That music really it changed the course of popular music all over the world. Without Delta blues, we wouldn't have had, what would Eric Clapton have listened to? What would the Beatles have listened to? What would the Rolling Stones, how would we have ever gotten our music, the music of our generation, classic rock? It might have never happened at all. So we want to celebrate that. We want to bring that to kids. We want to show them the roots of that music so that they can have that in their heads, and so it can be a part of them as much as it was a part of our lives. The second thing that we're going to do here is we're going to show images of eras. Now, what do we mean by eras? Well, historic music goes along with a historic context. And the context here is that we've just chosen some songs that reflect certain eras in American history since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Trains, steamboats, airplanes, the automobile era, all of these eras, they have dates that go along with them, and they have a progression that goes along with it. And I've talked to friends of mine my age, they say, well, I can't do history because I just couldn't remember the dates. Well, history really isn't about dates. It's about people and the things that they do. So what we want to do is show these kids these images that are connected to the dates, show how these eras overlap, and give them a sense of history without actually having to open a book and learn about it, because each and every one of these images that you're going to see today has a backstory that's a fascinating part of our history. So the third thing that we're going to do, third reason we have this program is because the kids these days, they have a different way of processing information. They don't, our generation, prior to the smartphone generation, we were text-based. Kids these days are image-based. They see images, they flash in front of them. It gives me a headache, but that's what they're used to. That's the way they see the world. So this program is designed to have multiple streams going all at once, so kids who aren't interested in the music, they have something else to look at. They have this slideshow. So the idea is that kids always have something to focus on that interests them, even if music isn't their thing. So that's the theory. We'd like to, and this is the premiere. So we'd like you to thank you for coming, and like I said, try to think like a fourth grader. I know that's right, right, and everybody's saying, okay. But thanks for coming, and here we go. Can you remember a day when you didn't hear any music? I mean, most of your days are pretty much full of music, right? I mean, you hear it on TV, in movies, on your phone, in the car, or even at the store. But it wasn't always like that. Not too long ago, people could go days without hearing any music. Just think about it. It'd be as if someone just hit the mute button on all the music in your life.
So try to transport yourself back and imagine what it was like. I mean, you need music, right? Well, the best bet to hear music whenever you want is to make your own. For instance, you could put a piano in your parlor and have sing-alongs. But if you live in a place called the Mississippi Delta, a place so poor that it doesn't even have electricity or running water, well, you're lucky to have a house, much less a parlor with a piano. So you get yourself an easy-to-carry guitar like this one, or a harmonica like this, and you learn how to play from the people around you, like from this guy, or from him. Or maybe you learn from this guy's records playing on a phonograph, like this. And you learn to play what they play at barn dances or on porches or on the street, which is a kind of music called blues. And you practice and you get good at it. And one day this dude shows up from the big city with this brand new recording machine. So you play some songs for him and he goes away. But then you get a record from him. And on that record is you singing your Delta blues songs. And you listen to yourself on that record and you say, I have had enough of the segregation and the poverty and the Jim Crow of the Mississippi Delta, and I am out of here. So you do what millions of other people in the South are doing. You leave Mississippi for good. You take your record, you pack a suitcase, and you get on the train headed north to a place called Chicago. And it is cold there, but it's got two things the Mississippi Delta does. It's got jobs, and it's got lots and lots of music all over the place. So you get yourself one of those newfangled electric guitars, and soon people are calling your music Chicago blues. And some folks in Memphis and Detroit hear it, and they play it a little different, and they call it rock and roll. And then some other young people in England hear your music, and they start making their own songs, and they become huge stars all over the world. And their music inspires a whole generation of musicians whose music has brought joy and meaning into the lives of millions and millions of people all over the world. And later on, musicians all over the world point back at you, and they say, if it hadn't been for this small handful of folks from the Mississippi Delta, rock music as we know it would never have happened at all. And that's how some of the most unlikely people from one of the poorest, most unlikely places on earth can change the world. And if they can achieve so much, starting with so little, just think of the things that you can do if you were you.
One, two, three, four.
Okay, we're going to play this song, and I got to tell you a little bit about this. This is a song called Walkin' Blues, and it was written by a guy named Sunhouse. Sunhouse wrote this, I think, back in I don't even know, in the Mississippi Delta. Then a guy named Robert Johnson recorded it. Now, we don't do either of those versions. We don't do that. Because what happened then was that the other version that we do was some guy named Clapton. Do you remember what his first name was? Eric? Yeah, it could be. He did this version that we're going to do, but the funny thing about it is he lifted the guitar part note for note from a guy called McKinley Morganfield. What was his name? McKinley Morganfield? Muddy Waters. So that's the whole thing about blues music back at that time. You know, there was nobody from the copyright office saying, you know, you can't play this, you got to play this, you can't play this, because this was all like, you know, this was like crowd songs, right? So they all kind of took and, you know, borrowed from each other, and it was okay. So what we're going to play Walkin' Blues as Eric Clapton played it when he lifted it from Muddy Waters, who lifted it from Robert Johnson, who lifted it from Sunhouse. Hold on, sorry, I forgot to do. There we go. Okay,
Let's see if this is running. There we go. Okay.
Woke up this morning, feeling round for my shoes. You know about that, babe. Got the walking blues. Woke up this morning, yeah, feeling round for my shoes. You know about that, babe. I got the walking blues. Leaving this morning, had to go ride the blinds. I've been mistreated, though I don't mind dying. Woke up this morning, had to go ride the blinds. I've been mistreated, ooh, Lord, I don't mind dying. Come on, Steve. Some people tell me walking blues ain't bad. It's the worst old feeling, yeah, that I ever had. Some people tell me, yes, walking blues ain't bad. It's the worst old feeling, ooh, Lord, I ever had.
Steve, one more. So 1927, this happened, and you really couldn't stroll in Mississippi anywhere because it was water as far as the eye could see. All the levees burst pretty much all at once, and 500,000 people were displaced. And I don't know, you can see pretty much what it was like. So what happened was one of the upshots of that was that a lot of people in the Delta said, I've had enough. I can't live like this anymore. And they'd heard about life being better in the North, where people were treated better. And so they started packing it up because they didn't have any place to live anymore here. And a lot of people say that this was one of the big waves of what became the Great Migration. Where millions and millions of African Americans left the South and came north looking for a better way to live. And one of these people was this aforementioned McKinley Morganfield. What was his name again? Muddy Waters, right. I want to take just a minute to go through a couple of these, but this is my favorite picture, and I'll tell you why. and don't forget, we're going to be showing these to kids. So take a look at this, 1910. This is Vicksburg, Mississippi. Everything's horses and buggies here, right? 20 years later, no horse and buggies. All cars. 10. Did I say 20? Yeah, I'm not so good at math. Yeah, that's it. But just 10 years. It was just 10 years it took for this change to start. And that's just mind-boggling to me. This is a picture that I'm not going to describe when we get into the schools because these were kids who were forced to work 14 hours a day shucking oysters in Mississippi. And oddly enough, they were doing it in Baltimore too. So what's interesting about this picture is that this man went around and started taking pictures of this. And don't forget, back then, photography was not, you didn't have a camera. You're going clicking everybody, it was a photography. You needed a truck to carry it all around, right? And who's going to get that truck and buy all these silver plates just to take pictures of poor people? They didn't do it, right? Rich people paid for the photographers. But this guy, he said, I'm going to expose this, and his work, taking these pictures and showing Congress what was really happening, was one of the major impetus for child labor laws after the beginning of the 20th century. So this is one of the least disturbing of those images. This is, you know who that is? Calvin Coolidge. And 1925, and this was one of the heroes. He was a hero for something. I don't know exactly, what, but 1925, shaking hands on a picture with that young man, he made some enemies, as I'm sure you can imagine. This is an interesting picture because after we're 30 years into it now from where we were when we started this thing, or 20. Again, my math isn't so good, but all that in the back, that's what you call soil erosion, and that's what happens when you cut down all the trees. And where else was this happening? This was happening in Kansas, but it had a different, it was manifested itself in a different way in Kansas. But this is one of the things that farming wasn't working out so good anymore. Sharecropping was never good, but this made it worse. Now we're, do you know what this is? This is now.
Train station.
The train station. But what is it now? This is the Blues Museum in Clarksdale. That's a historic building, and they put the Blues Museum there. And what's in there right now?
Muddy Waters' house.
Muddy Waters' house. And tell them how that got there. Right. It's an amazing story.
So, the summer of 1990, my sister got a job in Tucson, Arizona. So she needed a ride from Baltimore. So, I said, I'll do it, and I'll pack you up, and I'll move you all the way to Tucson under one condition: if we go to Muddy Waters' house on the way, because it's kind of on the way. You got to make a left. So we drive up there, and we're driving with the rickety old van, and we're driving, and she says, when we're getting close to Clarksdale, she goes, how are we going to find his house? I said, well, I know it's outside of Clarksdale. She says, but how are we going to find it? I said, we're going to roll down Main Street. We're going to see the first person we see. We're going to say, hey, where's a record store? We're going to go to the record store. There's going to be an old hippie there, and he's going to give us directions. And that's exactly what happened. He had Xerox sheets. And it's very powerful. It's what was left of it, the Stovall plantation. And about 5 years after we were there, roughly, they were going to knock it down, and the guys from ZZ Top generously put up money to have it taken apart piece by piece and reassembled, which is now in the museum.
Okay, I got one more picture, and then we're going to move on. This is, does anybody know why that high ground is there?
Probably an Indian.
It's an Indian, a Native American burial mound. And if you see, look down there, and look there,
So all the animals are looking for some high ground. And of course, I don't know why they built that, but the Mississippians back then, they had floods too. So they probably built something that was high so that they could escape to it when the floods came every year. Now, this is my favorite picture. And I'm not going to say anything about this except that one of the women in these pictures is known for, there's a lot of there's a lot of darkness in the world, but there are some bright lights. And this was this woman was one of those bright lights. She devoted her life to helping people in the Delta. And and what this says to me, what this says to me is we're all in the same boat. And that's why I think this picture is so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, we're gonna move. Karen, you grew up in a musical family. I didn't know about that about you, but would you tell me about your family? And the reason I'm asking is because we're gonna do a spiritual.
Well, my first experience with blues was listening at my grandfather, who would pull out his Victrola that you had to put the records on, and some of them were yellow, some were blue, and they were really thick, and he would put them on the thing with the big, what do you call it? And then he'd wind it up, and we would listen, and he would take out his harmonica, which he called a mouth harp. And he'd have his accordion, and he would put the harmonica in this little brace and put it behind his ears, and he would get out his harmonica, and he would play them both all at the same time, and you could hear the train and everything coming out of this one man, and that was the blues. I didn't realize that what I was listening to. I just thought my grandfather was fantastic. He was a star. My grandmother, who was a very spiritual person, at that time, the blues music was always referred to as the devil's music, just because of the lifestyles that went along with it. So at the same time, when he would call us in and he would start playing this music, she would be sitting back, but every once in a while I'd look down at her and her foot would be going. Yeah, but I had a great experience growing up and being exposed to a lot of different music, and so it was nice to have that root of the blues.
So, but blues. I always understood it that you've got this secular blues, but you also have, the other side of that coin, where a lot of that music, the blue notes, was incorporated into spirituals, African American spirituals, and that became devotional music, and so we're going to play one of those. Kind of? Is that what? So this is I guess you all know this song.
You all know it. Sing along.
Yeah, please do sing along. And what was I going to say? Oh, right, I got to push the button. This time I'm going to push the button. This is about the steamboat era primarily, but you're also going to see some pictures of steamships. All of these pictures tell a story. I thought they're all fascinating stories, but like I said, we're not going to tell these stories to these kids. We're going to let them just kind of, look at them, because kids are like, they suck up languages, right? They learn languages like that. And I think that kids will they will internalize these images, and they're not going to forget them. That's my theory. We'll find out, I hope. Anyway. So is it doing its thing? Good. Oh, wait.
I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, way down, way down. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I'm gonna put on my long white robe down by the riverside, way down, way down. I'm gonna put on my long white robe down by the riverside, study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Steve.
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Thank you so much, Karen. Awesome. I feel very fortunate to be in the presence of these two folks. I gotta tell you, thank you so much for being part of this. So I'm going to take just a couple minutes. There's a couple pictures I wanted to show you all. This is the first known photograph of a ship. Right. I think it was 1848, and it amazes me because we think photography has been around forever, but it really hasn't. And when I started looking for images, I couldn't find anything before 1900, and it didn't occur to me, well, that was because there wasn't anything before 1900. But this is the first known photograph of a ship. This is amazing. Now this actually happened. These are two English ships. One of them has one of these, and the other one has a screw propeller. And that's why they have this tug of war. They didn't know how are we going to figure out which is the more efficient way to move boats around. And can you guess which one won? Well, the propeller one, right? But this is a seminal moment now, I don't know if anybody can. I don't. Can you read what that says? Samuel Cliff. Who is this? Who is this Mark Twain? Right. Yeah. Steve told me. Some people already know this. Didn't you tell me how he got his name?
I don't know if I did, but I think didn't it have something to do with the calling out the water level?
Right. People would sit out front and they call out Mark Twain or whatever the depth was. They would sit out in front of the riverboat, and that's how he got his name. That name comes up again and again. Now this is amazing because I didn't know that you could hail a steamboat. But that's what they were doing. They're hailing the steamboat. The steamboat captain would come by and he'd see somebody going, whoa, and then he'd have to pull over. Okay, all right, okay. I didn't know that whales could go that far up the Chesapeake. So, and I doubt the veracity of this thing here. Does anybody know? I mean, I don't say everybody should probably know that Tolchester, for 80 years, Tolchester, Maryland, was a huge destination spot for people from Baltimore. And they would fill up these steamships would come here, 3 or 4 times a day from people from Baltimore. And there was there were rides, and there was not a Ferris wheel, but a roller coaster. And there's one of the spinny cup things. And didn't you tell me that you saw a picture about?
I did. I lived in Baltimore for a long time, about 13 years. And the old timers, they would tell me about going to Tolchester for the day. And I subsequently came across a great picture of a steamboat arriving, and all the kids on the top are jumping off in their bathing suits, about 100 yards before it docks. It's a great picture.
And it's all gone. It's kind of odd. And we know what killed it. We'll get to that later. But, those were the days when people actually, when you went somewhere, the getting there was a part of the experience. Nowadays, we all get in our capsules and we just want to get there. And we don't think about what actually occurs between point A and point B. But in the steamship and the steamboat era, that wasn't the case at all. It was all about the experience from point A to point B and back. And I think that's kind of gone lost a little bit. And I don't know about this whale. I asked, there's a museum, and I called the museum and I said, what's up with the whale? And they said, we don't know. No, I saw somebody say, that's an interesting picture. This is the last known photograph of the Titanic. And the reason why it was taken was because one of these guys got off in Ireland.
Wow.
And he took a picture before, right? All right. Now this is I think I can't remember the name of that boat, but when the Mississippi levels started to drop, a lot of these boats started to reappear, and this is one of the ones that did. And I don't know if people know this, but steamboats, and they blew up all the time. And like the lifespan of a steamboat was 5-6 years, and that's what they could expect to get out of a steamboat. And so they're all over the Mississippi, and this is one of the ones that reappeared. And gosh, I don't know what's going to happen to it, but oops. Oh, that's it. So now we're going to move on to the area of the railroad era, and we're going to do another. Oops, I got to switch for this, and I have to. I'm going to have to retune a little bit. So, let me see. Oh. Has anybody here never been on a train? Okay, because we know the kids, a lot of them have never been on a train. Is this on? Let me see. Okay. And I don't mean one of those little putt-putt trains that are only big enough to carry I mean a real train. Does that sound all right, Danny? Oh, this is right. Okay. Is it good? Good. Okay.
This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. Don't carry nothing but the righteous and the holy. This train is bound for glory. This train don't carry no liars. This train don't carry no liars. This train don't carry no liars. Don't carry nothing but the righteous and the holy. This train don't carry no liars. This train is built for speed, boy. This train.
Yes, it is.
This train is built for speed. Oh, this train. This train is built for speed. Fastest train you'll ever need, boy. This train is built for speed on this train. This train don't care if you're black or white. This train, yeah. This train don't care if you're black or white. This train don't care if you're black or white. Everybody's treated oh so right. This train is bound for glory. This train.
Steve.
for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. Don't carry nothing but the righteous and the holy. This train is bound for glory. This train this train this train this train
Go take another couple of these pictures here. Anybody know what this is? This happened in around here. This happened in Baltimore. It's the race. It's the race where somebody decided we're going to figure out whether this train thing can actually beat a horse. We don't think it can. We think the horse is faster. Well, who won?
Eventually.
Right, the horse won. Why did the horse win? Because it broke down, because the steam engine busted and it didn't make it. But, you know, metaphorically speaking, who actually won? The train won, with a long haul, because we're not riding horses, obviously. So that's an amazing thing. This is the first known picture of a train accident. And this is a real photograph. This is the first known photograph of a train accident. You saw some drawings, some pictures, some paintings of train accidents before, but this is the real deal. And again, you know, note that date there. This is when photographs started to become started to proliferate. Okay. Now every one of these shows has something I call a gotcha. And the idea, we want to get these kids to think about, what's the gotcha here? Well, what's the gotcha here? In 1862, there was no photographic technology that could produce this image, right? There was no photograph that could get that flame onto a print, onto, you know, a plate. So what's really going on here? Well, this is, in fact, a Civil War era train collapsing on that bridge. That did actually happen, thanks to a guy named Buster Keaton, who made the first historically accurate film using historically accurate trains. So this is actually, and this film is called The General. I don't know if you've heard of it. The General's silent film. It came out in 1926. And what he did was he found two trains in Oregon, moved the whole shebang up to Oregon, and shot this movie and burned down that thing. And so this film is on the Historic Register at the Library of Congress now. So this is effectively, and it's a true story. There was a train that chased another train behind enemy lines in the Civil War. So this is an amazing thing, because it's history inside of history. This film itself is history, but it depicted a historical event. So that's pretty cool. So, all right, who wants to be on that? What kind of a crazy person would be on that train, especially since that's the test train? That's the first time that bridge was ever crossed by a train. What kind of a crazy person would? But I guess there was this whole machismo that went along with it, right? And this is one of the bridges made out of toothpicks that they constructed in order to meet the deadline for Promontory Point. And you all know what Promontory Point was. That was when the Transcontinental Railroad met in Utah. So they said, we got to get a bridge up here real quick. Is there any people stupid enough to drive it? Me, I am. And everybody said, sure, I'll do it. But obviously it didn't crash because they made that deadline. All right, we're going to move on to the to the car era. Oh, I should do this. Now, Steve, you play in a Chicago blues band, don't you?
Yes, I do. Sort of, kind of. Rock and roll, blues, yeah.
Blues Keepers.
That's right.
That's right. So if you ever see the Blues Keepers, it's different music here because, okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, we're well, we're just going to play this one because we're running out of time. I just wanted to say that Chicago Blues. Everybody's okay.
Yeah.
Fourth grade, right. And the babysitter left, right? So this is a song called "Key to the Highways," written by this guy, Big Bill Brunzi, and about this time. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is things change here. Now, before we had different kinds of images. Right now, when we get to the car thing, it's different because cars are your own individual thing. You can't make a train your own. You can't make a steamship your own. But you can do crazy things with cars. And people do. And they always did. So this is about how that whole thing changed. Cars became an individualized thing. And some of it's right here. All of these stories are amazing, and I think all of them are true. At least I hope they are.
A lot of songs about cars. A lot of songs about cars.
Also, at the end, there's some songs, there's some pictures of people who did songs about cars, blues songs about cars. So I included that. To make it more, blues related.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Whew.
I got the key
Keep going.
to the highway.
There you go.
Yeah. Built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running. This walking is much too slow. I'm going back to the border where I'm better known. Because you ain't done nothing but drive a good girl from home. Oh, give me one more kiss, darling, just before I go. 'Cause when I leave this time, I won't be back no more. I got the key to the highway, built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, 'cause walking is much too slow.
One more and then take it
Going
out.
back to the border where I'm better known. You ain't done nothing but drive a good girl home.
Steve. Okay, we abbreviated that one because we'd like y'all to look at these songs and see if you can see if you can match the artist with the song. It's not necessarily a song; it's also a story. Some of these are songs, and some of these are stories. Has anybody ever heard of T Model Ford?
Oh yeah.
Wow! I'm impressed. That's right. Okay, this is a Bessie Smith died in a car crash driving a Packard in 1937. This is a Terraplane. Anybody recognize Terraplane Blues? Robert Johnson. That's right. This is a now. Actually, this was Ike Turner. Ike Turner was in that band. So, and this is
Rocket 88.
yeah, man. It was a Rocket 88. That's right.
That's right.
And that's Maybelline, Chuck Berry. Mustang Sally. That's right. That's right. What do we got here? Blues Brothers, of course. That's the Blues Brothers car. That's right. And then this here. That's Janis Joplin's Porsche that is in a museum right now, by the way. And there's BB and Eric. You know, that's so... Yeah. All right, we got to move on to the next song. This song is, I think everybody knows this song, and I'm kind of hoping you're all going to sing along. This slideshow is kind of different because, I got to tell you, this guy had never driven a car before, but he said, I'm going to take this car across the country. So he got with Bud. He put Bud in his car, and he drove in 1903, and he drove across the country, and with that dog, and he actually did make it. He had a lot of help, but he did make it. This is an early Tesla. Many people don't know that around 1910, electric cars were everywhere. And they were, of course, promoted by Thomas Edison. He had a company that made electric cars, so everybody had one. Now the problem is, and what they found was, you saw a couple pictures of car crashes, right? Well, that started happening all the time, and this car is just not safe, right? So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to put doors on it. You're going to put a roof on it. You're going to put fenders on it. You're going to bolster up the frame, and that all takes weight. And that is weight that you got to carry around, but the battery's the same size. So what happens? You don't go very far, right? Your 100-mile range, now you're going 25 miles an hour on a charge. So that is when the internal combustion engine started to own the world, because engine this big and it could go very far, and you could start to have actual safety features. People got more demanding with their vehicles, and the electric car, the lead acid battery at that time just didn't cut it. So, all right, I don't know what to say about this, except I don't know what the backstory is, but I've always had a thing for women on motorcycles. And that Seal is my kind of gal. Does anybody know the story here? No. All right, this is Heinz Mexner. He decided he was going to get he's West German. Remember when West and East Germany? He decided he was going to get his girlfriend out of East Germany. He's the smartest man in the universe, and I'll tell you why. Because he measured, he went back and forth, and he figured out that barricade is only so high. So he went looking for a car that was lower. And he put his mother-in-law and his girlfriend in there, and
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. And the mother-in-law, she went of her own free will, and he just blew right through Checkpoint Charlie, and the next day that barricade looked a lot different. Now, the reason why he's the smartest, biggest genius who ever lived is because that car, it was a rental. I kid you not. It was a rental. And I thought, the guy goes, he says, I'd like to rent that really short car there. And she says, certainly, sir. Would you like insurance with that? For $25. He's thinking, how much is it going to cost to get those bullet holes out of that car? But he blew through there before they could even draw the guns. It's a pretty amazing story. This Do you recognize the guy who's driving?
LB.
LBJ. That's Lyndon Baines Johnson. And who is it?
Califano.
Califano. Was he? Well, he was a security.
One of the cabinet members.
Okay, and that's Lady Bird.
That part I'm not sure.
Okay. No, that's not Jacqueline Kennedy. I don't know who that is, but it's not Lady Bird. But girl, yeah, maybe it's. But you know what you don't see far and wide in this picture? You don't see any waves. Because one wave and it would be like hairdo's done for, you know. What was that, Steve? What'd they call that?
I don't know.
I thought you told me about it.
It's the Amphicar.
The amphibicar. It was the amphibicar. And the reason why it never caught on was because it wasn't a good boat and it wasn't a good car.
Other than that.
Oh, maybe she was. Yeah.
She was a Kennedy.
Did Lady Bird know she was in that car?
Probably not.
Ah. Okay, we're gonna play this song, and then we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna do a couple more songs. We're gonna open up the floor, and if anybody has any questions about this program, whether you think it's good, bad for kids, or whatever, we'll be taking some questions. And this song, I hope everybody knows. And this is another spiritual written by this man, and he wrote a lot of. What else did he?
He was a cotton farmer.
Ah.
Poor cotton farmer. Yeah, and he wrote this song. Well, it came to him one day when he was out in the field picking cotton, and it was hot, and he was tired, and he looked up to the sky, and he thought to himself, if I could just fly away. And,
Wow.
and he wrote the song. He went home and he started writing out the words, and then he got together with his sons, and they came up with the melody, and here we have I'll Fly Away.
It's one of the most recorded songs ever. You might remember, I think Alison Krauss and Jillian Welch did a version of it. Okay. Oops, click it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, man. You fourth graders, you're going to have to, Is it rolling? Okay.
Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joys will never end. I'll fly away, everybody. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. One more. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I want to take. We're going to take a break, but I want to say one thing about that one thing, and it's a story that's hard to believe, but it's true. And the one thing is this here. This is a real thing, and it did fly. So this isn't one of the gotchas, but it did fly. But I got to tell the story because it's so bizarre. You know, some things should have movies made about them, but this would be a short movie with a quick punchline. It would be a whole movie about this one punchline. So what happened, this guy decided he was going to build a plane that you could drive. It's going to be driving down the road, and then it's going to be a plane. And everybody liked it. It's a great idea. So he built it, and he put it on, this is actually 10,000 feet over California. But then it crashed. And the reason it crashed was because it ran out of gas. And the reason why it ran out of gas was because the pilot got in the car, saw that the gauge was full, but he forgot that there was a different tank in the airplane. So he got up in the air and he said, and it goes, right? And he says, you know, this is a head slap moment. You know, we all have head slap moments, but this is like, he says, wait a minute. I filled this up with whoa!
That's how Spirit Airlines was born.
You got to remember that one. All right. Thank you all for coming. We'll be back in a little while. So thanks.
what's next? Oh, God. You're really gonna do that?
Van, we think you should do a harmonica solo.
Oh, Steve to do that.
That's Steve. I'm
Oh, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve.
But I'll do it. Hey, Steve, can I have a harmonica?
No.
Give me that D flat harmonica. I'll do a solo. Okay, so this all came about. I'm kind of. Is this on? Hey, is this on? This all came about because Steve and I got together and we played. You know, we did this open mic, and Cheryl Hoops was there. I'm sorry she's not here tonight, and she said, "You guys got to do some schools. They would love this," and that has how this whole thing began. So Steve and I are going to try to do the song that we did. Then again, this is Eric Clapton's rendition of a song that somebody else did a rendition of. I don't know where it came from, but this is on. Okay. Rambling on my mind. I got rambling on my mind. Hate to leave my babe, she treats me so unkind. I'm going down to the station, catch the fast rail train I see. I'm going down to the station, catch the fast rail train I see. Got the blues for Miss So-So, song got the blues about me. Let me take one. Mean things on my mind. I got mean things. This is devil's music. I got mean things on my mind. Hate to leave my babe, but she treats me so unkind. Take a seat. Take it home. Man,
You know, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Oh yeah. Oh shoot. All right, well,
Beautiful song.
it's a beautiful song. Unfortunately, I forgot to tune the guitar up because there was so much going on. So you're gonna have to bear with me here. All right. Steve, didn't you tell me some other story about going to Beale Street?
Yes, I did. All right.
Share.
So, I was 17 years old and, full of life, and I had to get to Memphis, Tennessee. So I took a bus and I went to Memphis. I spent a couple of weeks just hanging out. It was all boarded up. It was 1978. Beale Street was all boarded up. Sad. But I found a little club down by the river, and it advertised Ma Rainey Jr. 2 nights. I was like, Ma Rainey Jr.? I was like, man, I didn't know she had a daughter. I knew Ma Rainey. So I go to see the band and, try to see what kind of trouble I can get in. And they played wonderful, and she was in a wheelchair. I found out later, no relation at all. But Ma Rainey Jr. actually had a career of her own. She started in the 20s and 10 shows. So anyway, she's in a wheelchair, and toward the end of the evening, I was having just the time of my life. And toward the end of the evening, they have a real rabble-rouser song, and she starts to get out of the wheelchair, and the bass player says, "Hey, Ma, don't," and she slaps his hand away. And she gets up and the crowd goes crazy. And I was like, oh my God. That blew my mind. So the next night, I sobered up and I went back the next night. The same song in the exact same spot. She goes to get up out of the wheelchair and that bass player, "No, Ma, no," and she slaps his hand. I learned all about show business there.
All right, I don't even know if this is tuned right.
We're going to find out.
I guess we're going to find out. Too slow? Keep going.
When it rained 5 days and the sky turned dark at night. When it rained 5 days and the sky turned dark at night. Yeah. Then there's trouble taking place in the lowlands tonight. I woke up this morning, can't even get out of my door. I woke up this morning, couldn't even get out of my door. There's been enough trouble, make those poor girl wonder where she'll go. And then they rode a little about 5 miles across the pond. And they rowed a little boat about 5 miles across the pond. Yeah, I packed all of my clothes, threw them in, and they rowed me along. Lord, Lord, it rained. Lord, it rained. Yeah. There's trouble taking place in the low, lowlands tonight. Lord, Lord, it rained. It rained all day long. Yeah. Lord, it rained all night long. There's enough trouble around to make a poor girl lose her mind. When it thunders and lightens and the wind begins to blow. Oh, when it thunders and lightens and the wind begins to blow. There's thousands of people ain't got nowhere to go. And then I went and stood upon some high and lonesome hill. Yeah, I went and stood upon the high and lonesome hill. Then I looked on down and my house wasn't there no more. Lord, it rained. Lord, it rained. It rained all day and it rained all night. There's trouble taking place in the lowlands tonight. That's what the blues done called me to pack my things and go. That's what the blues done called me to pack my things and go. Yeah, 'cause my house fell down and I can't live there no more. I can't move. I can't move no more. I can't move no more. There ain't no place for a poor old girl to go. Thank you so much. That's Steve McGovern.
So I think we, thank you. Thank
Karen
you.
Somerville.
Karen Somerville, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. This is another one that everybody should know. And if you don't, you can sing along anyway. This is a song that I got from, believe it or not, a Blind Lemon Jefferson album. Oops. Blind Lemon Jefferson was a Texas blues musician. And there's been a lot of talk about, oh, blind boy this and blind boy Fuller and blind Blake. And people make fun of these blind names. But he was blind, right? So that kind of is, I remember, hearing people make fun of blind Blake and blind. It's like, come on. These guys had a really hard life. Blind Lemon Jefferson froze to death in Wisconsin because he got a recording contract up there, he thought. And he moved up there from Texas and froze to death. So he was really blind, folks, so, don't trivialize that. He had a really, really hard life. But this is a song that the last thing you would expect from a Blind Lemon Jefferson album.
He rose from the dead. He rose from the dead. He rose from the dead. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. And Mary, she came running, looking for my Lord. Sister Mary, she came running, looking for my Lord. Sister Mary, she came running, looking for my Lord. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. He rose from the dead. He rose from the dead. He rose from the dead. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home.
Are we going to venture this one? Okay, I think we were going to call it out. Does anybody have any questions? And then we're going to play one more song. Let me have any questions about, because a lot of people seem to have questions about what the goals are of this and, whether this is suitable for kids or you don't have any questions now? Fine, we'll just play the music then. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, why fourth grade? Why did you focus on fourth grade?
That's a great question.
Because there's a kid in the third grade we can't stand. His name, little Charlie. Can't stand that. You can tell.
You got that on tape, Danny, right? You got that on tape. Man. You know, fourth graders, you know, they are very charming. They're very fun, and they're old enough to, you know, to get it, but they're not old enough to be too like know-it-all and too snooty, you know. And
They're
this
not as cheeky as the fifth graders.
that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. But I would like to see what we can do with here. We already had a couple people saying maybe you should be doing this in high schools. We could modify the program somewhat. So I don't know. We have this material.
Okay,
And
I
yeah,
have two grandchildren in middle school, and there's a tremendous dearth of music in the middle
dearth
school.
of music.
Yeah, dearth of-
That's a great word.
yeah.
I have a history with that word. Yeah.
Band teacher is excellent, I'm not saying that, but the overall curriculum, there's tremendous dearth of music, there's no choral program. I mean, any music you bring to that middle school is music that they didn't have before.
You know what else they don't have?
Horrible.
They don't have any money. And the problem is that, you know, this is, you know, we need funding. You know, to be honest with you, we got a grant to do from Kent Cultural Alliance to do the pilot, and it gave us some breathing room. But we need one of those projectors. We need some equipment. We need a small PA. We need a whole bunch of things. And you know, I'll be honest with you. You know, we need what?
We leave our day jobs.
Yeah, we have, you know, right. You know, we need to be paid like everybody else. I can't tell you, you know, how many tens of thousands of dollars of work that I've put into this if you translate that into value. So, you know, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that we should be paid because, you know, we're providing a service just like everybody else. And there is money out there. There are people who are looking for things to fund that are good. And we think it's good. So, you know.
It is good.
Anybody else? Did anybody have any questions about some of these pictures? Because there's some pretty amazing pictures. You know, where I found them, Library of Congress, a lot of research. I looked at thousands of pictures, and you know,
Have you checked in with the Mitchell Foundation?
I haven't.
You should, because their biggest funding is for education, and they have millions. We have an award here. Matt knows because we were given a $2,000 grant for the Mainstay for doing what we do here. So
Well, I will, and you know, you mentioned a word that really caught my interest, which was millions. So would you take a card?
Yes. Thank you. I'll definitely pass it on.
And also, I mentioned we do have a website. That's one of the things I do. I used to do websites for a living. We have cards here. Anybody who's interested, anybody who knows anybody who might be interested in this. I want to say this also. We want to. This is a very good program for churches because and congregations and communities because. The goal here is to get parents and kids in the same room listening to music. And that is almost never done, right? You know, we've got, you know, concert venues and then we got kids, but they never come together. And this is a program that adults can enjoy and that kids can ask questions and they can everybody can benefit from it. It's a learning experience for everybody. So if you have a congregation or a church, or if you know of a venue that would allow kind of the mixing of kids and adults, then contact us, ask us for a card, and we'll. And Danny is holding his wrist. So we're gonna do the last song. We are. Okay.
I hope you're going to remember us when you're rich and famous, because I just know you're going to.
Yeah, that ship has sailed, I'm afraid. Is that the right key? G. Thank you, Steve. G. There we go. Okay, how's this? Ooh. This one is called Rollin' and Tumblin'.
Counter off, brother.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that wasn't it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, come here, baby, let me sit on my daddy's knee. Well, come here, baby, let me sit on my daddy's knee. Yeah, I want to tell you all about the way they've been treating me.
One more and take it out.
Well, I roll and I tumble and I cry the whole night long. Well, I roll and I tumble and I cry the whole night long. I woke up this morning, all I had was gone.
Take it out. That's sloppy, but that's the best we could do. Karen Somerville.
Thank you very much.
Steve McGovern. Oh, man.
Van Albert.
Thank you. We have cards.